Hey guys, this is Jay. I'm here in Sugarland Town Square, and I thought I'd make a video here to show you my process of going up and taking some 360 photos here in Sugarland Town Square. And I thought, since I'm going to take some of those to give you guys an idea of what Sugarland Town Square looks like, might as well bring my GoPro 360 along with me so that you guys can go through that process with me. So the purpose of this little drone mission is that we're gonna fly up there. You guys can, if you look around, you can see we're in Sugarland Town Square. We're gonna go up somewhere around there with the and get a panoramic picture so that we can put it into your Oculus masks, and you can basically get a view of the whole area, which will allow you to see what you're dealing with here when you start flying. So, before we get started taking off, I want to just give you a really quick idea of what we're trying to do here. I'll give you a more thorough safety briefing in another video, but you know that we've already gone through all of the stuff that we have to do to make sure that this area is safe. I've got my LAANC this morning. I'll cover all of that in another video. What we're going to do in the video is the drone's going to take off. We're going to go to about, I want to say maybe 80 to 100 feet, which is going to put us right above the center of the square and be able to shoot a picture all the way around and be able to create that into a 360 photo. Now, part of the things, as you can see, is when we look over here, that's the main strip. So it goes from here all the way along there. That's one of the things that Sugarland asked might be in our drone, some of our drone footage. So I'm gonna wanna make sure that your 360 photo captures that. So when I fly over, I'm gonna wanna be over that street. You'll also notice that there's buildings all around that range from about 3 stories up till about 8 stories, it looks like. So I'm probably gonna wanna get up above to about maybe 50 to 60 feet, which will get me up above about the 3 stories. But maybe not all the way up above the 8-story, because I mean, you guys can get the picture of where that is. And I'll probably end up taking 2 photos, so I'll probably do one at about 60 feet and then maybe one at about 120 feet so you can get more of an aerial photo. So that's the purpose of today. Now, just some quick things that I'm gonna go through with you guys to make sure. Today is just going to be me flying. I don't have a visual observer, so of course, what that means, I need to pay really close attention, but the drone's not going to be more than about 150 feet away from me at any given time, and I'm not going to be up in any airspace. I'm going to be mostly right below the building lines or just above it, so I'm not expecting anything major to happen. We have checked with I've checked the weather this morning. The winds are around 5 miles per hour out of the west, but since we're below the building line, the winds do stuff a little differently here, but I'm not seeing that it's any major, I'm not seeing that weather here. It's clear skies, you can see above us, clear skies, no precipitation, winds are under control, so I'm feeling like the weather isn't going to be a factor, especially since we've only got clearance to fly up to no higher than 200 feet above ground level. The one thing I have noticed in this area is, because it is a restricted area, the drone we've got clearance to fly from the FAA, but the drone still wants to make sure we've got that clearance, and it gives some weird requirements to the software. The last time I tried it out here, we had a problem with the return to home function. Instead of it returning to the home point, it just landed directly. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that, because you know, obviously we can't rely on the return to home if it's not working. But I also, when I flew it around here, I didn't get any radio interference, so I'm not expecting the drone to break off. We're just gonna have to keep it really close and not go too high. There are a few people out here this morning. It's a Saturday morning, so not a whole lot. So fortunately, we don't have to worry too much about getting over people. There is a street over there, so I'm gonna probably need to position the drone so it's not directly over the street. It's off to the side a little bit. Okay. Again, we'll go through some of that stuff later. I think that's pretty much the main considerations for today. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. So what we're gonna do now is, I'm using a different app than the one that we've used before. It's an app called the Lychee app. And so I've loaded that, I tested it out this morning. I'll go through that with you guys later. But I'm gonna go ahead and fire up the drone and put it up in the air and get the app connected. Okay, so I've got the app, it's powering up now. I'm turning on the controller now and the phone. There we go. We've got some supercars here today, so you might get an opportunity to hear some supercars. They're not mine, of course. All right, so let's get that thing up in the air. Yeah, if you look over there while the drone's taking off, you can see a couple of Ferrari. That's a Porsche. So, a little extra benefit. Let's go ahead and get the drone up in the air. Oops, it's not cooperating. Let's see. All right, so you can see the drone. It's taken off now. If you look behind you. All right, there's a tree right there. So I'm gonna scoot it off to the side a little bit. Whoops, wrong way. Whoops. I'm not sure why it landed. That's really weird. All right, let's try that again. Take off. Huh, maybe the battery ran out. Okay, well, oh, it's telling me there's a no-fly zone. Let's see. Okay, so in the DJI app, it allows me to cancel that no-fly zone. Here, it's not letting me do that. All right, well, I guess we're gonna do something different. Damn it. All right, well, we'll take two. Okay, you guys, after a brief interlude, I did some research on the drone, found out that if I unlock it in the DJI Go 4 app, then it'll allow my no-fly zone, it'll allow it to fly in a no-fly zone. So I went ahead and did that, and I'm gonna show you that I can push it and it's gonna take off. I just checked it again by, okay, so you saw where the home point is. I'm gonna move it over a little bit and I'm gonna push. I just activated the home point. You'll notice it just lands. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. So I'm imagining since it's in a no-fly zone, it doesn't do return to home. So I'm gonna put it and move it back over just a little bit. Let's move it forward so it's not right under that tree that's right above us. And I'm gonna go ahead and land it. And then we're gonna switch apps. Yeah, it's behaving really weirdly, so we're gonna have to be careful of that. But I'm gonna switch apps now over to the Lychee app, and I'm gonna see if I can get it up into the air and let it get up and take that picture that I was talking about. So we're switching to Lychee. And let's see if that'll allow us to, okay, so I'm gonna push take off. All right. I'm noticing as I'm talking into this that I'm really close to the camera because I want you guys to hear, but it probably looks like I'm right up in your face. So I'm gonna try backing away a little bit when I fly. All right, so I'm gonna take the drone up. You can see that I'm going up. I'm gonna move forward a little bit to get out from over that tree. It apparently is working just fine now, so unlocking it in the DJI 4 Go app apparently works. So let's see, I'm gonna put it up. One of the things I noticed when I was getting ready for flying today is that this app that I'm about to use has really small writing. So I'm switching glasses here for a minute so I can actually read what's in the app. This is Jay in his regular reading glasses. All right, so you can see the drone up in front of me and probably behind you. I'm going to take it to right there. It looks like let's rotate it around a little bit. That's about right in the center of the plaza. I am at, shoot, I don't know where the altitude is in here, but I'm going to say it's right at about 40 feet right now. All right, so let me turn it around. I have the camera now facing directly at the Capitol over there. And I'm going to switch it to pano mode. And then hit the settings. And it's in 360 columns. 5 columns, I think. 5 rows. I don't know what naders are. Let's go up one more, whatever those are. Spherical grid pattern, and I'm just going to hit start. And the cool thing about this app is I literally just stopped doing anything, and the drone, if you look up there, you can see it's rotating around on its own, automatically taking pictures all around. And the total number of pictures that it's showing up on here is 34. So it's going to take 34 pictures that overlap with each other. And then hopefully I can get into like Photoshop or something, stitch it all together into one 360 photo. All right, so now it's going down and doing the second run all the way around. So I'm hoping this turns out to be really cool, but it's now taking 12 out of the 35 pictures that it's going to take. And okay, so you can look up there and you can see the drone and it's spinning around, taking the pictures automatically. You can see I'm not doing anything. It's spinning around, taking the pictures. What I'll do is when it tells me that it's done, I'm going to go ahead and take it up to probably maybe twice this high and see if I can get pano pictures from a higher vantage point. And my hope in this is that you guys can put it in your Oculus mask, stand in this virtual space and get a real understanding of everything that's going on. I might actually take one at maybe around 20 feet too, so you can see it from ground level. This will allow you guys to get a real great understanding of what this area is, so when we come out here and film, you'll know exactly what you're dealing with. All right, I'm at 27 out of 35 pictures. And it's now pointing at the ground, which is cool. So I'll probably be in one of these pictures here in a minute. Yeah, I think that's me. Anyway, this would be a good time if anybody has any jokes to tell, because, you know, really I'm just sitting here watching the thing take the pictures. It is at 33 out of 35. And in a minute, you're going to have to watch me do 35 pictures at a couple other altitudes. Okay.
Panorama ended.
All right, so it's done with that panorama. I'm going to go ahead and take it up to... Okay, now you're watching it. Now I'm getting up above the building level. And I'm going to do the same exact thing. So let's see. And we'll just do the same 35 photo spread. All right, so I'm hoping if you're looking at this in the Oculus, you can look straight up and see the drone. It's turning around doing the same thing. It's got 35 photos it's going to want to take. So it's spinning around. Since you're watching this and the drone's spinning around, I'll give you a little background on what I was doing this morning. So I got up at 5:45 this morning with this great idea to go out and try to capture 360 video and be able to put it into your Oculus, hopefully over YouTube, so that you guys there's a lot of reasons this is going to be really cool. One, it kind of proves the concept of 360 video and being able to get that 360 video off of YouTube, which is going to be awesome. But another thing is it's an opportunity to show you guys training using the 360 video. So if we can prove that as a concept, how cool would that be? And then if this works, if you guys can use this to learn how to do what we need to do, then it's possible that we don't need to do like even the whole drone day. You could do that on your own, hopefully. And that's kind of where we're hoping to go for this. And then maybe the one other thing that I'm really excited about for this, we're at 23 out of 35 pictures, by the way. One of the things I'm really hoping that we can use this to do is to prove the concept of being able to take an idea all the way to a final product in a super prototypey way and come out with something that still delivers the full value, managing all the little risks. And I'm going to tell you all the stories of the risks that I ran through and the little things I had to plan and the silly things that I ran into as I went. I might end up telling you that when it shoots the next set of drones, the next set of videos, because, you know, we're still at 32 out of 35 at that level. You can see it right up there. Okay, we're coming up on 34 out of 35.
Panorama ended.
Okay, the panorama's ended. So now what I'm going to do, you can see the drone, watch it now, I'm going to bring it back down. I'm watching underneath and I don't see anybody coming, so I think we're in good shape that way. We're going to bring it right down. You can see it now. It's going to be at about, it looks like 20 feet or so. Let's put it up a little higher. And now I'm going to shoot a panorama. Let's go up a little higher. All right, so I'm going to shoot a pano from this angle.
Warning, aircraft battery at 24%.
We may not be able to do this because it's going to run out of battery, it sounds like. It's at 24%. Hopefully, it'll just keep going because 24% should be fine. I'm still watching that drone. I'm seeing some people in the vicinity, but they're not really that close. You can see it spinning around. So we're at 7 out of 35. You can hear the thing chirping. Hopefully it'll give you the option to keep going. It's chirping because it's at 22% battery. Hopefully it'll just keep going the whole 35 and give me the opportunity to go right through this, to finish out the battery without freaking out on me when it gets lower than it wants to. It's at 14 out of 35 pictures. I think this is going to be really cool because you've got the fountain right over there, and you've got,
Aircraft battery at 20%.
I know, you got the fountain over there, you've got City Hall over here, you've got the pavilion over here. All of that stuff is going to show up on this picture if it gets through it's at 20 out of 35. Still beeping at me. Still beeping at me. I got another battery luckily, and this is the last thing I have to do with the drone. 23 out of 35. Come on, baby. See, of course, it's cool because you can watch everything happening right here. It tells you down here how many pictures we are and how much we have left. You probably can't see it, but I think it's cool. 28 out of 35, 17% battery. Come on, baby, you can do it. 30 out of 35, you can do it, come on. Come on. With the problems that we were having with return.
Aircraft battery at 16%.
I know, keep going, keep going. With the problems we had with return to home, I really got to be worried now because I don't know what it's going to do if it runs out of battery. But it's at 35 now, so let's...
Panorama ended.
All right, so let's bring it back into field of view and land this sucker. I've got some people over here, so I'm going to want to bring it in a way that's not going to get near those people. Let's bring it over here. Let's see, I'm going to bring it over this way so it's not in the trees. Sorry, guys. Okay, and that's it, you guys. So, drone's on the ground. I am deactivating it now. As you know, we don't consider the drone safe until not only is it on the ground, but it's off. So, ground, it's off now, so we're good.
Signal lost.
I'm gonna call that the mission over, and hopefully you guys will have some fantastic footage coming out of this. Hey you guys, this is Jay. I'm here in beautiful Sugar Land Town Square, and the purpose of this video is for us to walk you through the way a safety briefing might go for a drone mission. So the reason I wanted to film this video is because there's a chance that we might be doing video out here at Sugar Land Town Square. So I thought, A, this 360 video experience will give you an opportunity to see what this Sugar Land Town Square area is, and B, it'll be an opportunity for us to try out a safety briefing, which this will be our very first one, so it'll be an opportunity to see whether we think it works or not, what kind of information we'd add. And then third, making this 360 video will be an opportunity for us to see if 360 video actually works as a training experience. Hopefully you guys are watching this on your Oculus and you can look around and see the gorgeous Sugar Land Town Square. The vantage point that we're filming from right now is not the best vantage point for a safety briefing because clearly we're in the middle of a fountain. That's not normally where we do a safety briefing, but I figured if we're doing a 360 video, we might as well do it in the middle of a gorgeous fountain in the middle of Sugar Land Town Square, with the beautiful Sugar Land City Hall in the background. The picture over here that you'll probably want to do some drone footage of if it's safe to get around it. You can see the tables and stuff all around here. There's lots of things to see. So it's a Saturday morning. Gorgeous weather, by the way. Lots of people here, so we're going to be working around that. But that's one of the things we're going to have to be thinking about when we're doing safety videos. All right, so let's get to it. Because this is sort of a generic safety video, we won't I'll really talk about it more as if you were shooting the mission that you would be doing if we were filming here. So the standard information, the standard reason for this video, the shoot today, the mission that we're on today, the purpose is for us to capture video of stuff around Town Square, right? Now, of course, for you guys, that the big part of what we're trying to do with that is for us to understand how to shoot drone footage, how to plan a project, and then to get footage of you guys actually running the drone. But for the purposes of just the mission that we're talking about right now, what we really want to make sure we think about is what we're doing with the drone. So we're going to be capturing footage of maybe the fountain, City Hall, the buildings. We've talked to the Sugar Land Town Square development group, and they said that they particularly want that building right there. They're trying to lease out the space that's up there on the top floor here. So they want to get some footage of that, not only of the office space, but of what that office space sees, to looking out in that direction, that direction, that direction. You'll also notice that this road right here is the main drag down Sugar Land Town Square. There's shops all along it. That's one of the things they also want to try to highlight. You'll see in the background over there where the cars are driving, that is I-69. And off to this direction is Highway 6. There are two major thoroughfares, as you know, so things to be thinking about. In this particular, when you guys film, you guys are going to be deciding who the PICs and the VOs are, so you guys can talk that through. But as you know, it's important to make sure you know who that is. The safety rules, it's important on this situation, especially we're following all the standard safety rules, like wearing safety glasses and such. But in an area like this, the ones we need to pay most attention to are you're not allowed to fly over people. So we're going to make sure we don't do that. We're going to want to it's going to be really tough to be focused out here, so that sterile cockpit procedures that we've talked about, making sure your phones are off, making sure that any other distractions. One of our roles is probably going to have to be a ground coordinator to make sure that the stuff on the ground is taken care of, so we can minimize the distractions to our PICs. And of course, we want to make sure we're using all the right procedures. We need to be thinking through what emergency procedures look like, where we're going to land if we have to, any return to home procedures, any of that kind of stuff. We're definitely going to have to work through that. Okay. All right. The stakeholders for this group, obviously the FAA is always going to be a stakeholder for drone operations. In this particular area, especially since this particular property is owned by the city and managed by Sugar Land Development Corporation, I think, or Town Square Development Corporation. We've talked to both the city and the Town Square Development Group to get to check in on what things they want to make sure we take care of, and that basically follows the same safety rules. They want to make sure we're cordoning off areas if we're going to be flying to keep spectators out of it so we can keep them safe. We've already sent them a certificate of insurance, and they've accepted that. So as far as stakeholders are concerned, we're pretty covered. With the FAA, as you know, is this Class D airspace. So we've got an LAANC for this morning that lasts up until for the next hour and a half. And that LAANC allows us to go up to 200 feet and no higher, which should be fine for us. We talked about this being a public area. The one thing that I've noticed that's a possible safety concern for the operation of the drone is that for some reason in this area, since it's technically a no-fly zone, for some reason the return to home functionality doesn't seem to be working. That's something we're going to have to work out. But so what we need to do because of that is be very conscious of where the drone is. What seems to happen is when return to home activates, the drone just lands right where it is, which means that obviously if it's over a fountain like this, that's a bad thing. If it's over a crowd or traffic or anything like that, we got to make sure we are constantly conscious of what that drone is over today, and making sure that if it does go straight down, it's going to land in a safe place. That's also going to be really important for our ground coordinator to keep an eye on what's going on underneath the ground so we can make sure that it's landed. The thing that's going to make this area safe is we're not going to let that drone get too far away from us. It's going to be probably within about 100, 200 feet of us most of the time, and we can keep it over an area that we can control. So I think that we'll have to work extra safe to make sure that we have that taken care of. Weather is not a concern today. If you look up, you can see that the skies are clear. We've checked the METARs and TAFs. The wind, you can feel it's a slight, well, you can't feel it, but I can feel it's a slight breeze. The weather data says it's at around 5 miles per hour coming out of the west. That's going to interact a little bit in this situation differently because the buildings are blocking it. So it's funneling through the buildings. And remember, the drone's going to want to act a little bit weirder when it gets up above the buildings. But at 5 miles an hour, I don't think we have to worry about that. There's no precipitation today, and the cloud ceiling, I'm not seeing a cloud ceiling at all right now, but the cloud ceiling they talked about was well above the 1,000 feet. So if we can only go up to 200 feet with the drone, that keeps us under the 400 feet of cloud clearance we have to have beneath these clouds. So I don't think weather's going to be a problem today. Okay, we went through our technical issues. Okay, let's talk about the flight area. So you can see in this area, it's a wide open area. We're surrounded by mostly 3-story buildings and some others that get up to around 8 stories over here. So let's say the 3-story buildings at around 40 feet high, and the 8-story buildings are probably getting up to closer to 100. So in this near field area here, the plaza itself, we can bring it down, you know, probably to around 15 or 20 and keep the drone at about 15 to 20. And we don't want to go any lower than say 15 or 20 because, unless it's right next to us, because we've got people around. But if we start getting out of the plaza area, then we have the buildings to think about. So I'd say within this tree area, because you can see the trees over here, we're not out of the clear in the plaza area, we still got the trees. So within the trees, we can get it down to around 20 in our near field AGL. But when we start wanting to get out of this little plaza area, we need to keep it up at around 100. Well, depending, up 50 to 100 to keep it away from the buildings. And if we can stay above 100, then we should be fine because it's clear skies around that. Remember that if we're going to go off in the direction of any of these buildings, we've got to remember that if we have to, for whatever reason, dip down, it's going to end up behind a building. We don't want that. So we're going to need a buffer space above those. I'm going to say if we're going off in this direction or over here, we need to keep it up maybe around 120. And that still should give us plenty of room between the 120 and the 200 that we have to stay in for our flight altitude. I don't think we're going to be doing that much. I think really most of our shots are either going to be within the plaza. We might get up above a little bit to get some shots of everything here. We might get out that direction and have to film in this way so we can get a nice shot of the town square area and City Hall. If we do that, we got to make sure we're not flying over 59. So you can kind of start to see the kind of things. We also have to be careful about going over this fountain because of our return to home situation we've dealt with. So that should give you a lay of the land and the kind of hazards we're looking at. If we get outside of that envelope, like obviously we don't want to fly in any of these directions where we can't see the drone. So if we're doing that, we're already in trouble, so don't. Okay. Obviously, maintaining visual line of sight is going to be critical during this. We're going to need at least one visual observer, probably two in this situation, for us to be keeping an eye on that drone, along with the ground coordinator keeping an eye on what's going on with the ground. So remember VOs, that your job is to focus on that drone the entire time that thing's turned on. Let's see. The maneuvers we're doing, we're not going to do anything crazy. We're going to want to keep the flight parameters in super slow today. Definitely not sport mode. If we keep it in GPS mode, I want you guys keeping this under 10 miles an hour and probably closer to like 2 miles an hour. The kind of maneuvers that we might do that might be a little trickier are if we want to do some kind of pan across that fountain or some kind of point of view shot where we're pointing at it. If you're doing any of those kind of maneuvers, any shot that needs a maneuver to make the shot work, I want you to keep it under 2 miles an hour. I want it to be very close. I want the drone to be very close to you. And I'm going to want you to keep that thing at least 10 feet standoff distance from anything you're doing. And that's only if you're going like less than 2 miles an hour. Okay. Let's see. The emergency procedures we have on here is the information that we're going to need. So make sure you're ready if we have emergencies. We've also got a contact information for the city and for the town square people. Okay. So that should about cover the safety briefing. Now, I know that this is one of our first times going through it. Probably when you guys watch this, you're gonna have a whole bunch more questions about, well, wait a minute, we didn't think of this, we didn't think of this, we didn't think of this. I'm gonna expect your safety briefings to be that much better. But this is at least an opportunity to go through once, talk about the things we think are important, and then when you guys do the safety briefing, and hopefully it's gonna be a much more robust. All right. Well, good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.